Thank you for watching and listening. I want to talk about school abuse. Okay, I came from what I realize now is like the hilly billy community in Singapore. Okay, it's like our mindset is more to conservative and a villager type of mindset. Hence, it's conservative. It's more hierarchical. We obey. We listen to the elders and people of authorities and elders of the first siblings. Anyone who's senior than you has absolute authority. So in primary school, I have these two teachers in different level. In primary three, it was Mrs. Waimi Saleh. I went to Siling Primary School, and I got her for maths for primary three. The abuse started from there. Unfortunately, when we went to primary five and six, we got her as the home teacher, and at that point, she taught all subjects except for music and mother tongue. So the abuse only amplified. Okay. And the second teacher is Mrs. Saravanan. Mrs. Saravanan, I got her for primary four, and she was more of a instigator, a bully. She didn't physically assaulted me and other students, but she focused her bullying onto me. Like she lie and create things and try to get me caned by the discipline master for things that I didn't do. Anyway, I'm just gonna talk about Mrs. Soimi Saleh here. I know I'm not the only one. There are many people who I came across that happen to have been taught by her, who share a lot of crazy stories that she had done to children. And let me tell you this, had been a teacher for many decades, and she even won Best Teacher Award. And I was thinking to myself when I was in primary school, what a joke, but because we were obedient, because we were passive, and most of the parents didn't have our back. The parents also had the that old school mindset, where teachers can do no wrong, elders can do no wrong, and you're allowed to beat the child. And she took it, because she's a toxic person, she took it beyond. So in primary three alone, just teaching one subject, you know well, did she just teach us other subjects? Anyway, I think it's mostly maths. So what had happened was, she was verbally abusive. She will insult, she will make fun of your race, she make fun of your family, your body type and all that. Then in primary three, there used to be this pale yellow mathematics, like a exercise book. It has like at least 200 to 300 pages, if I'm not wrong. It's one of those you can practice your multiplication, model sums, or whatever it is. And the one with the boy sitting on the blocks. So she would stack up several of these books, and then will use so much force that she will actually her hand will go backwards, and then she will just slam it on the student, and at their necks, at their head, things like that. This is how she taught mathematics. But apparently, beating somebody can make them smart. Apparently, all the answers will fall into your head, will come to you after beating them violently like that. So there was this time where I had a friend of mine, and her name is Humaira. She sat beside me, and of course, we were not taught properly. Again, the rule of thumb is, the idea of these old school teachers is basically just throwing the things to you and expecting you to know. And when you don't know, they just slap you. You don't know, they just punch you. So what happened that day was, this Mrs. Waimi Saleh, she used to wear a gold ring with red ruby, if I'm not wrong, and it has a crown. A crown where they put the diamond onto it. So there's sharp ends as well, right? So she would say things, let me center my ring right in the middle so I can punch her in the eye. So she was preparing like that. And then she was like stretching herself, and then she just punched Humaira right in her left eye. And Humaira just so happened to close her eyelid just in time. If she hadn't, her cornea would have been torn because of that ring and the sharp and the pointy end of the crowning of that ring. Okay, and you get caned for not knowing how to answer the question because you don't teach properly. You don't teach properly, and you're expected to know. And her daughter Adila was in the class during primary 3, so she witnessed the caning, and she herself got caned because this Mrs. Mami Saleh idea of being fair is, I don't want you to think that I favor my daughter, so I'm gonna cane her even though she scored she got 80 or 90 points. She encouraged a lot of this, she instilled a lot of fear and unnecessary things, so we learn not to speak up even though deep down we know it's wrong, but everybody was too scared, too obedient to call her out. It's just some of the things. So, and then unfortunately we got her for primary 5 and 6. There was a time I remember there's this girl, I forgot what's her name, Faiza or Fazila, I know it started with F, and she's a very small child. She's one of those small kids, right? So what happened was we were all seated in 2 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If I'm not wrong, there's 4 rows, and every row is, sorry, yeah, two tables per row. And of course, her idea of teaching is screaming, yelling, scolding, slapping, punching, things like that. And most of us at that point, because we come from household where majority of the parents are not very highly educated or don't speak English very well, and unless you get outside tuition, you go to school to learn. That's her job, to teach. And most of the teacher, I dare say most of the teachers I had don't really teach you out, because their idea of teaching is, I throw this paper, this exercise, these questions to you, and you're supposed to know how to answer even though you've never seen the word before. It was like that. And so back to that, let's call her Faiza, okay? So she grabbed Faiza was seated, and we were all seated because we were all fearful. Oh my God, we were so scared. We can't answer. We're going to get scolded. We're going to get some kind of screaming, yelling, and things like that. And let me tell you, sometimes people deserve to be screamed at if they cross the line. If they cross the line, let's say, when I work as a tutor, the child wanted to fling a heavy table to another child. That child deserved to be scolded because he crossed the line. But in this case, we didn't do anything. We came from the generation that was totally obedient. Totally obedient. So I sat a couple, maybe about 2 or 3 rows behind Faiza, and I saw she was preparing. She was basically scolding because you don't know how to answer and things like that. And she went to Faiza. She put her hand above her head. So Faiza is a small girl, so an adult woman, her hand was big enough to cover most part of the top of her head. And then she kept rummaging. Let me get as much hair as possible so can I pull her hair. And she literally pulled her by the hair. She pulled the girl by her hair and started shaking her. So the child was like a rag doll, because she was small and she was obedient. She don't know how to defend herself, and she was held by her hair, like being flung around. Maybe not excessively flung around, but still held by your hair. And then another time I remember, everybody got caning. And what she does is she would actually tie maybe about two. If the cane is thin, she will tie 2 canes together, and then she added rubber band at the end, and she used that rubber band part because she will say, because this will hurt more, things like that, and she will start caning everybody. Because that's how you teach, apparently. Instead of explaining it, instead of simplifying it, instead of breaking things down into a digestible form, you think throwing things to people's face, and they are expected to just know. So the teaching quality is horrible. The school that I went to, it was Siling Primary School, by the way. So everybody got caning often, and then she would start bullying us, because when in primary 5 and 6, she taught us all subjects. So we used to have this big size file, okay, and it's so thick, so heavy. And then she will purposely manipulate you or force you to bring the file, and if you don't bring, you better call somebody, if not we're gonna caning. So we got scared. Everybody went to those who didn't bring will go to the payphone and call, beg somebody at home, please bring, because we were in the afternoon session, whoever is at home. And if you don't, don't bring it, you're gonna get caned over a file that you don't even need. And the file is those heavy files, not those thin flimsy ones. Is those thick files. It's unnecessary because Singapore education system back then is just horrible. You make students carry heavy bags. I can guarantee you the bags weigh more than 10 kilos because each book is so thick and you only learn a couple of chapters and they make you bring all the chapters and bring all subjects at the same time. And on top of that, the exercise book, and everything else. Okay, she would do things like that. And there was one time she caned a child classmate called Mahati, because Mahati, we used to have some foreign students that comes and study, right? So Mahati is from India, and we have another child, Tian Tian, is from Malaysia. So Mahati, like most of us, we didn't do well. Of course, the average score would be at 40 to 60. And that is because of our own effort. Because we were studying, we were trying to teach ourselves out of fear. And we could have done so much better. We had proper learning materials and proper teacher like that. That's the reason why I advocate online learning more than having in-person teaching. Because you can't guarantee the kind of teachers you get, and different people have different learning style. Singapore education system is very biased, is very rigid, so it caters to one type of learning style. And if you don't get extra tuition, you don't get external help, the rest is purely up to you, right? And for us, we came to school to learn, but what we learn is we learn to be fearful, we learn to be anxious, we learn that we are not good enough, we're not smart enough, and we develop a lot of unnecessary trauma and anxiety. So back to that Mahathir, he's from India, and she used to make fun of him, saying, "You're from India, right? You go back and milk cow. You press the cow's breast, and then you milk the cows." And then she caned him more than 40 times because for every question he got wrong, he got caned, and she was using him as an example. So everybody was so scared because we ourselves got beaten up. We also got caned. And I remember another time. I came for, I think, a remedial class on Saturday, and I didn't know how to do problem solving. She has this thing where she got the label, I'm the best maths teacher, and she keep getting awards, and this is how she has been teaching people, by physically abusing children and getting away with it. So there was one time I didn't know how to do maths, the problem sum well. And then I was told to stand up, and then she did this. Let me stretch my arm so I can slap her as hard as possible. You know, she was stretching and everything, and she slapped me so hard. I was holding onto the table with like it's the only thing that's gonna help me, to a point that I was going to fall off. You know, and the table that was standing on its 2 legs instead of 4 legs, because I was trying to hold on to it so that I don't fall down. And my neck was sprained, my face was burning, and my left ear was ringing because she used that much force. And I remember when she gave us some break for recess, and then the ice cream auntie asked me, "Who slapped your face?" Because she could see a handprint. And my face was still burning, but by that point, because we have disassociated so much, right? We just like, the teacher slapped me, and then just eat and pretend like nothing happens. But it affected hearing because the ringing went on for quite a while because she slapped so hard. Yeah. So that's just some of the things she did. And on top of that, she kept releasing us late on during recess time, and for us, because we were Muslims, right, we have limited stores to go to, and Singapore's smart idea of recess means a lot of people going out at the level go. How many students? Hundreds of students going for recess at the same time. And remember, we have to rush because the queue is long, and that's where I developed a very bad habit of eating too fast, because she intentionally released us late because I need to teach maths because I'm a good maths teacher. I'm known for teaching maths. I know I teach maths, everybody did well, but that's how she teach, slapping, punching. This is how she had been teaching, right? And I developed that habit And I could only learn to slow down the eating, okay, in my 20s, because it stuck with you. The anxiety stuck with you for so long. And I didn't realize, because we have disassociated so much, until I see people around me when I go to secondary school, go to polytechnic, and as adult. How come I'm the one who always finish the food under 5-10 minutes? Meanwhile, I'm the last to receive my order. And then I realized it's because the habit. It took me many years to realize that it's the habit from the time, the traumatic time, the abuse we endured in school. So that's why I learned after many years. The reason why I kept eating too fast was because we were given very little time to have a proper meal, because she kept releasing us late intentionally, because she wanted to teach us maths, and then she would change the subjects to teach maths. English lesson become maths lesson, science lesson become maths lessons. And we remember to a point where we barely had any PE lesson, because her excuse is, I'm wearing juba today, so we cannot have PE lesson. So PE lesson become maths lessons again. Okay, we got to that point. And then when the time that we were supposed to go to science lab, because we were kids, wow, science lab is like so fun, we hardly go either, because she end up doing maths or things like that. And I remember we were so excited. Kids, we like to play around. PE is like a highlight, right? Playing and whatnot. We didn't even get to. We actually watch from our classroom. We watch other teachers bringing the students out for the PE class. And this is one of the reasons why I do not advocate for having one teacher teaching all subjects, because this kind of thing happens when you have people with no integrity, abusers like so. Okay, so I developed bad eating too fast and anxious anxiety from there. And at the same time, we learn to obey and not speak up, and don't trust teachers at all as we go on further, as we move on to the next stage. And of course, she's so stereotypical, mentally abusive as well. She will say things like, if you don't study, you're not smart, you're going to go to a bad school. They try to put all that fearful thoughts in you. So we endure that. Can you imagine 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you wonder why they have all kinds of like anxiety and panic attacks and things like that. And because we don't really get the counseling we needed, the help we needed, because back then it was like that. So we went on carrying that anxiety through our adulthood, until we finally reconnect and realize where the source comes from. And then when I was when I worked part-time, when I was 16 or 17, I met this colleague, and she told me, she was taught by her before too. And I don't know how true the story is, but she allegedly threw the tables and chair out of the classroom, and threw a boy's bag out of the fourth floor, and the bag fall into the pond, things like that. This part I'm not too sure, because that's what she told me. And I remember back when I was in primary 5 or 6, during Children's Day, the kids previous batch will actually come and visit the teachers, and none of the students wanted to stop at her class. But our class was at the corridor, so of course there's windows, right? So there's these older Malay kids will say, did she ask you to kiss the floor? Did she ask you to lie down and kiss the floor? Let me just, we were obedient, we just like that. And then he say, if this bitch beat you up, we tell us, we will come and beat her up, things like that. So come to find out, during that time, she was much more violent, much more abusive, that she made them lie down on the floor, allegedly. And back then it was a cement floor, and the cement was those dusty ones, those dusty types, not the smooth one. It's like there's some kind of like a tiny holes. So when you sweep, there's a lot of like cement dust, right? So she used to make them lie down and kiss the floor like that. So this is why I say I keep telling people, do not compare, because some people, this is the amount of abuse, amount of sabotage they had. So it's harder for them by the time they reach secondary school, by the time they reach adulthood, they're just totally burnt out, totally traumatized, that they don't pursue further, because you don't know what else. And for people like me, we had it much more worse, because at home we got another set of abuse to endure, another set of physical assault to endure. So don't compare. Don't compare, because you never know what people have to go through. And then for people like us, even our English, we have to teach ourselves, because the idea of teaching English by those teachers in that school, especially the specific teachers, is to just give you a stack of paper and expecting you to know the answer. Do you know that we don't even know what adjective meant, what verb meant, what vocabulary meant, until we go on to adulthood, where we teach ourselves the definitions. Verb is verb. Verb is verb. What? Adjective is adjective. What? What does adjective mean? What does noun means? We don't know. Okay, so we've been skating by purely based on our intuition and forcing ourselves to learn, and hoping that is the correct answer, or trying to teach us under the kind of abuse and stress. And what I talked about is just like only like few percentage of it, because you think about the hours of abuse, 5 days a week, and 12 months a year, and we got her for 2 years straight, and then we got her for primary 3 for one subject. It's just one subject alone, she already punched kids and things like that. And for those who ask, why didn't the parents fight back? Didn't we tell our parents? We did. I did. And for me, I happened to have an abusive family. Couldn't care less. Okay, to them, I was told I deserve it. I deserve it. And there are parents out there who actually came to school and brought a cane and gave a cane to her and tell her, I give you permission to beat her. But that girl got lucky, because she escaped after primary 4. She went to a different class. Primary 3 and 4 onwards, I think she went to a different class. She was in the same primary 5 and 6. Us, unfortunately, we got her for primary 3 for just one subject or two subjects. I think it's just only one. I think she only taught us maths in primary 3. And she escaped. We didn't. And I remember Tian Tian's guardian, because Tian Tian is a child from Malaysia. So when those students from Malaysia that would travel back and forth across the border to attend schools in Singapore. So apparently her guardian in Singapore reported to MOE. Okay, and MOE came down, and back then the principal was Mrs. Chia. So don't know what happened, and of course nothing happened, as in she got away with it. She came back after the meeting, she announced, and she started stacking up papers. So the paper were this thick, and then she started rolling it, making it as thick as possible, and then started beating. Who dare complain? Who complained? Did I beat you or not? Slam. Did I beat you? She smacked somebody again. Things like that. So the abuse didn't stop. The abuse didn't stop because the adults in the school did nothing. The adults who were supposed to protect the children did nothing. And us children, unfortunately, we happen to come from a conservative Asian culture. Asian cultures majority are toxic. We obeyed. We knew deep down this is wrong. We should fight back. We should speak up. But we learned not to speak up because of that. Elders are correct. You must respect elders. Things like that. Respect the teachers. Things like that. And then as an adult, I got a job as a tutor. The situation changed. The students were the one who bullied the teacher, because we were the one who constantly get abused and bullied by the teachers. As a good adult, we try not to repeat it. And the children are different. This time around, the parents don't raise the children well. So I know I'm not the only one. Share in the comment section. Those who have been taught by Mrs. Swami Saleh at Siling Primary School, what other things had she done? And and then I talk to people from other countries. They will say that things is much more worse in Philippines. I say, I understand, yes, but we're talking about Singapore now. And when they listened to what had happened, they were shocked. They said, these kind of things happen in Singapore? I say, yes, because we were raised to keep quiet. We learn not to speak up. We learn not to fight back. And people like her get away with a lot, especially since most of the parents didn't defend the children. In this case, the children were not at fault. We happen to be those obedient ones, totally obedient. Whatever the teacher say, we follow. We're not those rowdy kids. Not even once did somebody fight back. Not once did somebody like retaliated back when she hit them. Not once. We took it in, and as a matter of fact, we thanked her. Thank you, teacher. We even buy her gifts for Teachers' Day, and then she invited us to her house in Hari Raya. I was the only one didn't go because I didn't like her. By that time, I was too passive to fully fight back. But the other students, you must go to the teacher house. The teacher, some of them even tried because I think people react differently to trauma, right? Some people they become against it. Some people they feel the need to please her even more. So we have students who will try to cater to her, try to get into her good graces, things like that. That's why I rather online learning, because I have so much trauma in primary school alone, and then in secondary school I got bullied a lot, and yeah, I advocate for online learning, and maybe in schools they have some socializing thing, and some maybe just slightly for social interaction and things like that. But I advocate online learning more because different people have different learning style. Okay, and people have different teaching style. It doesn't match. And with online learning, to me, you can repeat the materials over and over again, because as adults, as humans, how many times you want to repeat yourself? Everybody has a limit, right? So for me, I'm all for online learning, and just share with me, share who else, what your experiences are like. I know I'm not the only one. Okay, I know I'm not the only one, and I'm going to stop this here, because there were other stories done by other teachers, and adults can be jealous of children too, and colorism exists as well. It's not only light-skinned people who bully dark-skinned people, it's dark-skinned people who bully light-skinned people too, people who are insecure and project it on. And it's children bully adults, adult bully children too. And in that school, the teachers were horrible, at least the teachers I got. The one good teacher I had was Madam Hasna, the tall one. And I only got her for primary 1 or what, something like that. But yeah, and by the way, the school condition was bad at that point. The doorknob where the door, cubicle door was supposed to be at, there's no doorknob, it was just a hole. So people some of the naughty kids will actually look through, hey, I can see you peeing, I watch you peeing, things like that. And we literally had to use raffia string. Use a raffia string to close to lock the door. The aluminum thing, instead of a actual aluminum metal thing, it was a raffia string that you hold on to the latch. And the door was made of some kind of aluminum, and it was rotting at the bottom. So you can see the rust, and it was jagged because there was no maintenance. That was just the first floor toilet. And if you want to go to clean the toilet, you have to go to the upper floors. But that was how bad the school was. It was primary 1 to primary 6. I wonder why the school principal never bothered to check. Why the maintenance, the cleaners, nobody did anything. Why was the school condition that bad? Anyway, yeah, that's that. Maybe I share one more. This time one is in primary 4, and I was bullied and abused by Mrs. Saravanan. Mrs. Saravanan was a dark-skinned Indian lady, and for me, I realized that she was very insecure, and she was just taking her anger out. So the stepmother actually went to school. She has a habit of screaming and shouting at school, telling the teachers that I'm a horrible child and things like that, even though I did nothing. She will do that. She will harass just to get you to cry and then turn it against you. So she used to go to the teacher's room, and just go to the middle and started screaming, my daughter is bad, Iza is a bad child. She literally screamed at the top of her lungs, and most of the teachers didn't stop and allow that behavior. And so one day after school, I went to Fahana's house. So Fahana, Humaira, and Noreda, we decided to go to Fahana's house after school. School ended, right? It's a normal thing. You go to a friend's house and things like that. And back then we don't have handphone, so we just call and leave a message, right? And remember Humaira grandmother will tell us to, okay, please inform your mother and things like that. So Humaira families are really, really good people. They are really good people. They were the only one of the few nice people that I genuinely remembered. So apparently, while I was like at Farhana's house eating egg mayo sandwich, it was the first time I ate egg mayo sandwich. This stepmother purposely came down to school after school, so it was 2 to 3 or whatever, and I was told that she was screaming and shouting and banging on the stage, claiming that I was a bad child and things like that. And this Mrs. Saravanan decided that I committed truant. So what does truant mean? Truant means to skip classes, right? I was at school until the last bell rang. She knew I wasn't even supposed to be in the remedial because I did well in the maths class. So I didn't need the extra class. And you chose to lie. Not only did Mrs. Saravanan lie, she sabotaged me. She refused to nominate me to be a prefect even though I had good attendance. I did well in school. I was obedient. We obey. We never speak up. We never fight back. And if we say anything else, we say it in a passive tone. And then I remember when one of the students asked, "Hey, why don't you let Iza be the prefect? She meets all the requirements, something like that." And then she was like, she made that face because she knows she did it out of spite. And then she started when we sat, because we were in primary 4, so we get to sit at the tables, right? The lower primary will sit on the ground. And then she will tell the teachers, we can hear the conversation. Oh, this girl, a bad girl, she commit truant, blah, 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 things like that. And then they will look like a mean girls, like a bunch of bitches, bitching about an underage, a 10-year-old child. Grown women making things up, spreading rumors, and roping other teachers into also bullying a child. And I remember they will keep looking at me up and down. Truant, oh, she did that to her mother, remember, things like that. And then she would tell them things, and then she would look at me, give me a disgusted look. She would encourage bullying, okay? And then there was one time where they start dismissing all the children to go back to their classes after the assembly, right? Come, you follow me. I want to make sure you get caning. I want to make sure you get beaten up today. Because you commit truant. She kept insisting that. You know? And then, so I said, no, I didn't commit truant, because we spoke, no, I didn't commit truant, I didn't tell her things like that. So you spoke in that soft manner. So that's the reason why I encourage you to mirror the energy. If people shout at you, you shout at them back. Don't bother taking the high road, because I was foolish enough for many decades to believe in the taking the high road, be the bigger person. Bull crap. That is a green light for people to do things to you, because love and light doesn't work. Love and light means you are going to get bullied. Okay, you need to understand that not everybody operates from the same mindset. So I was brought to the discipline master. I forgot what's the Indian guy's name. And she tried, because she wanted to humiliate me in front of the whole school. Okay, there were still many students. So she decided to scream out loud that you commit truant, she's a naughty child. She commit truant, she skipped class. How can you skip class when you're in the classroom? You were there till the last bell rang. The lies that she covered up. She slandered me, she defamed me, and mentally abused me, verbally abused me, spread rumors about me, and tried to get me assaulted by the discipline master. Luckily, I did not get caned by the discipline master, because he knows that story doesn't make sense, but he resorted to screaming and yelling and trying to intimidate me. Don't commit truant, don't commit truant. These people are so stupid that they become teachers. Stupid people become teachers because they don't understand the meaning of the word truant. You need to understand it. Some people, they can speak English, they can read English, but they cannot comprehend. They have poor comprehension. They don't understand, and then they twist and turn the word around and project it onto you. Then this bullying didn't stop for the whole year, and then the other students was like, you're such a bad, you cannot treat your mother like that. I remember Susanna, you know who you are. You're one of them. You know, you don't know hate from tail, and then you decided to shame me and things like that. And then this Farhana, the one that I went to her house, she started calling me hypocrite. You're hypocrite. You're also a bully bitch. You're a bullying bitch as well. And then at the same time, it's all started by this the bitch Mrs. Saravanan. It started by this abuser, Mrs. Saravanan. Okay, she encouraged the bullying, and the only person who stood up for me was Humaira. No, that's not true. We call, we tell the parent that nobody pick up, so we left a message on the phone and things like that. So this Mrs. Saravanan, a grown adult, a teacher, someone who's supposed to have education, chose to lie, chose to project her own internal anger out on me. And I realized, because she was an insecure person, now when you observe the behavior, because she's not the first person. The many people who start bullying and accusing me of things that I didn't do, only to after some time will say things like, you think you're so fair skinned, right? Of all races, initially I thought it was only Malays. Turned out the Chinese did that to me as well. The Indian people also did that to me, and the Vietnamese did that as well. Because you guys are, because of colorism, right? You care so much. You want to be white. If you want to be so white, okay, you want to be so white, okay, paint yourself white. Okay? And so it went on for a year, things like that. And they started spreading rumors, especially this Susanna was her name, you know. So I was being heavily bullied. And the only one who stood up for me was Humaira, because she's really, really a good person. She and her family are really very nice people. This is the reason why I stay away from teachers, because I met too many nasty teachers like that, and we became so obedient, we don't speak up. Our throat chakra get blocked on top of the rituals that was done by the stepmother and her cult. We meet this type of useless adults. I'm not a perfect person, but the generation I was in, the classes I were in, majority of them were obedient. So the teachers had it easy. You tell us what to do, we just listen. Total obedience, blind obedience, I would say. And they use it against you. And let me tell you this. Don't think because you follow the rules, you listen, the teachers are going to be nice to you. As a matter of fact, from my experience, even in secondary school, the teachers use you as a punching bag. They use you as an example, because they are scared of those who dare to fight back. They are scared of those who are the rowdy ones. So they take their anger out on you. Because you know you're not going to fight back. They know you're not gonna do anything. They know that nothing's going to happen. So this is why I say boundaries with everyone and everything. Evil comes in all form, in all ages. Because I was under that programming when I became a tutor, the students were the one who behaved badly towards the adults. And things vice versa. At the end of the day, it's all about whoever is the most spoiled rotten, whoever is the most low vibrational. Yeah, and I guess so I was made to feel bad. I was made to feel that I was wrong, because I was being wronged. And I was being accused, I was being defamed, I was being bullied, I was being mentally abused, verbally abused for something that I didn't even do. And another thing I just want to add on, mothers, especially mothers, they can do no wrong in some people's eyes, in majority of people's eyes. Okay, and a lot of the issues stem from mothers. The mental issue people have, the anxiety people have, it stems from a toxic female figure. And mothers get away with a lot. Because mother is seen, mother says, heaven is at mother's feet, mother gave birth to you, it's painful to give birth, blah, blah, blah. Right is right, wrong is wrong. We live in a patriarchal world, patriarchal society, but that doesn't mean women are always correct. Narcissistic people are narcissistic people, regardless of age, gender, religion, race, nationality, economic backgrounds. Okay? So discern and set boundaries. Share what who else have gone through this. I know I'm not the only one. Those bitches have been teaching for many years. Share your stories. And but I think I'm not a perfect person, but why are people like that getting such a great reputation even though they behave exactly opposite? And so, like, an advice for myself as well, you just take everything with a grain of salt. Boundaries, just because they're kind to you a couple of times, just because they speak to you in a kind manner, doesn't mean they're kind people. Protect your energy, cleanse your energy, call back your energy. Thank you for watching and listening.